Welcome to Metal Planet, a place where every metal subgenre is celebrated, from mainstream to underground bands. I am Max Gray. Today I'm gonna present you the new heavy metal and hard rock albums that will come out on August 22nd, 2025. This week we are going to start things off with a death metal record named Leave the Flesh Behind. It is the sophomore album by the Australian band Ashen. This death metal record will have a sinister atmosphere and put an emphasis on the groove. It will feature visceral riffs and ungodly monstrous growls that have a weight to them. Conceptually, the record will be a brooding exploration of death, transcendence, and what lies beyond when the flesh decays. The material from Leave the Flesh Behind will appeal to fans of old-school death metal bands like Morbid Angel and Dismember. With strong tracks like Devour, this record can close to be chosen as one of the Metal Planet albums of the week. The next records into this list are death, black, and thrash metal albums by European bands. On August 22nd, Panzerchrist will drop Maleficium Part 2, the follow-up to Maleficium Part 1, which was released last year. The new album will contain fast-tempo songs with some intense double bass drumming, and it was produced by Tu Madsen, who notably produced the recent and awesome Beast album Colossal that was released last week. Kill All Idols by Desaster will consist of the blend of black and thrash metal this band is known for, but there will be a twist. The ensemble's spunk roots will be more noticeable in this album compared to the previous releases in the band's catalog, especially in the riffing. Arrows at the Sun by White Mantis will contain energetic thrash metal songs with frantic rhythms. The music of 3 Days Grace has a sentimental value for me. The group's 2006 album 1X is one of the first records I ever bought, and the formation is one of the first heavy rock bands I listened to when I was a teenager. When I heard that the band's former singer Adam Gontier was coming back in the lineup, I was thrilled, but I was skeptical about the band now having two lead singers. To my surprise, when I listened to the first single Mayday from the upcoming album Alienation, I found that it works. When Gontier and Matt Walsh exchange lines, I think that it creates an interesting dynamic, and that their different voices complement each other well. I guess we'll see when the album comes out if this dynamic works well throughout the whole record. 1000 Little Deaths will be the third full-length album by the female-fronted Dutch formation Blackbriar. To find inspiration for the creation of this record, the band members wanted to revisit parts of their past, places that meant something to them as a band, so they worked on the album in a mansion that was used as a location in one of their previous music videos. The songs that have been released yet from 1000 Little Deaths have some fitting gothic soundscapes. They have smooth, clean vocals and an interesting orchestration with a noteworthy presence of strings and melancholic piano parts. This record will be released by Nuclear Blast, and it will arrive at a perfect time, just before the band's first full headlining tour of Europe this upcoming fall. This week there will be a good selection of albums in the power and traditional heavy metal veins. Mob Rules, a well-established German power metal band that was formed 3 decades ago, will soon unleash Rise of the Ruler. This album was described by the group as a continuation of their early concept albums, Savage Land and Temple of Two Sons, by telling a story set in a dystopian end-time world. The all-female band Burning Witches will drop Inquisition, featuring anthemic hooks. Its release will coincide with the 10th anniversary of the band's formation. Knightclub by Feuerschwanz will have a party vibe and put an emphasis on melodies. If you like catchy tracks, try the album's title song. It's catchy as hell, it's a good track. The band Gunslinger will also release an album this week titled Amped Up. It will feature the playing of Lucas Fox, a former Motorhead drummer. The music in this album will be in a similar style to the music of this last band. It seems to me that there is currently a deathcore resurgence. The iconic band Whitechapel recently released its best album in a long time. Oceano released a good album last year as well. There is also a lot of newer bands like Psycho Frame that recently put out quality albums that evoke the golden age of the genre. To Rid Myself of Truth by Signs of the Swarm, which will come out in a few days, is another promising deathcore album. This album is one, if not the most brutal record of the week. On this one you will find a savage sound with aggressive and chaotic riffs. There will also be a mix of different harsh vocal styles like death growls, high-pitched screams, and pig squeals. As a cherry on top, the album will feature guest appearances by the singers Phil Bozeman of Whitechapel and Will Ramos of Lorna Shore. The 12th album I will present in this video is All Is Beautiful Because We're Doomed, the upcoming 7th studio record by the American metalcore band We Came As Romans. This album will feature the polished sound and the presence of breakdowns that you can expect from a modern metalcore band. On top of that, the songs will be laced with some electronic sounds and they will have a dreamy vibe. One thing I noticed with the band's new songs is that the vocalist Dave Stevens is a competent, versatile singer, capable of switching between radio-friendly pop vocals to harsh vocals. If you're into metalcore, All Is Beautiful Because We're Doomed is a record to put in your list of albums to listen to. On August 22nd, there will be 2 records in the progressive metal/progressive rock vein, The Devil to Paint the Backlands and The Exodus of Gravity. The first one is by a Brazilian band named Jack the Joker. One thing that is interesting about the music of this band is that it is inspired by traditional Brazilian music styles, which can be heard in the choice of rhythms the formation uses. The second album is by Arcade, or Arcadia, I'm not sure what is the correct pronunciation. It's a side project of the Mastodon drummer and co-vocalist Brian Taylor. The music of this band represents a big musical departure for the musician. It is a synth rock project where the keyboards take the center stage instead of the guitars, and in which Taylor has the lead singing role. We have now arrived at the section of the video where I present the albums that I recommend the most among the titles of the week, the records I call the albums of the week. There will be 2 of those today. The album of the week number 2 is Apocalypso by Super Naughty. This is an underground but great band from the Tuscany region of Italy. Although it is a European band, its sound is influenced by the American stoner rock sound. Apocalypso will have a compelling storytelling inspired by science fiction and B-movies. Songs from this album like Black Witch Mountain and the title track have some Titanic riffs that are really tasty. That's why this album was chosen as one of the albums of the week. If you like the recent Borracho record that I recommended 2 weeks ago, there is a good chance that you could enjoy this one because their sound and riffs are similar. The album of the week number 1 is one of my most anticipated records of the year. Private Music, the new Deftones album, looks to be a really promising record. To create this one, the band members reunited with the producer who worked with them on the albums Diamond Eyes and Cardinal Yokan, 2 of the best records the band released in the last 15 years. Private Music will also be the first Deftones album to feature the playing of the bassist Fred Sablan, who played with Marilyn Manson in the past. The album's first 2 singles, My Mind is a Mountain and Milk of the Madonna, have received really good reviews from music critics. They have the bouncy riffs played on heavily downtuned guitars and the ethereal vibe that define the sound of the band. The album was chosen as the album of the week number 1 based on the strength of those songs. You can't go wrong with some Deftones. The band will soon play a show in my hometown. I'll definitely be spinning this album in preparation of the show. So here are the releases for August 22nd. Tell me in the comments what are going to be your picks for this week. There is an insane amount of new albums that will be released next Friday, so it was really hard to narrow down the selection. There is a more complete list of the titles that will be out on August 22nd in the description section of the video if you want to check more albums. If you found this video useful and want to stay updated on the new heavy music releases coming out each week, smash that like button and subscribe to the Metal Planet channel for more metal related content. I started to do this type of new releases of the week videos exactly a year ago, so thanks to the people who have been there since the beginning and the people who have joined along the way. I hope that this channel helps you discover new albums that you like, and I appreciate your support. Since it's been a year already, I'm currently toying with the idea of changing or improving, I should say, the designs of the videos and maybe possibly start to show my face in the videos. It would be more time consuming for me, but I think that it could make the content more dynamic. We'll see in the coming weeks if it can materialize. I thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.